answer, man. He's a fucking idiot or what? You think the system just exists without individuals or individuals without, or the system is something that is living on its own? Are the people them were involved in that rich white man them were have the business around the music industry, the film industry, the whole of them are the system. It's kind of retard you be boom Donovan, but you know no sense, man.
Death Row by Maria Hector. 9. Light, narrated by JahBunny, better known as the Badass. 9. Light. No penalty shall be imposed for any criminal offense which is severe in degree or description than the maximum penalty which might have been imposed for that offense at the time when it was committed. Chapter 3, Section 30, Jamaican Constitution, 1962. When they arrested me, I was 17 years old, and in accordance with the words of the law, a juvenile, I was charged with murder. The death sentence is mandatory for murder, and according to the word of the law, juveniles are not eligible for capital punishment. The fact that I had been kept in custody till I was 19 before I was brought to court and convicted did not alter the fact that I was a juvenile when charged, and at that time not eligible for capital punishment. As the trial judge being concerned with administrating justice and well learned as the attorney addressing him, he would not have passed the death sentence in my case. For in doing so, he was trampling on the word of the Jamaican Constitution. As I went from cover to cover of the Constitution, I realized that I had found a ray of light. As yet, it was not a magic formula, for all it meant was that the sentence was improper. The fact of the conviction was unquestioned by the development. I need to stop right here for a minute. Gaza people, cartel. This is a case law now. I keep telling you all about the Maria Hector case. This is the point of law now that your case, cartel, went to the Privy Council. The ruling of the Privy Council, I just find the answer to it. Listen again, cartel. Listen again, Gaza fans. Listen how the Constitution is interpreted. Maria Hector got a hold of the Constitution and he read it from cover to cover. And this what he discovered. As I went from cover to cover of the Constitution, I realized that I had found a ray of light. As yet, it was not a magic formula. For all it meant was that the sentence was improper. The fact of the conviction was unquestioned by this development. In your case, cartel, the jury tampering, right, was improper. The fact of your conviction is unquestioned. This is why when I went to the Privy Council, I went there the morning cheering and shouting for Gaza. The next day, cartel, my story changed. Why it changed, cartel? Because I observed that Paula Lowen brought 6 suitcases of evidence. I sat that day in the court and I did not hear the law lords question the evidence. This is why I said there is no way you're gonna walk. There is no way you're gonna free, cartel. Don't make them fool you. The evidence is unquestionable. The court didn't consider any of the evidence. I mean, and I like say I get nothing now, I'm glad I'm happy, you know. My uncle make you know, say me see what you never see. Me see where I sat Bokana see, but now I tell you. Still it was a straw. And he jelly grab at it. In the following week, I went about researching this straw. I had discovered among the wave through the ventilator at the rear of the cell. I questioned various old prisoners. Hear that? Fedi go up on the back of the vent and call down to the prison yard and question various old prisoner. Cartel me tell you, so you have to talk to old prisoner. Searching for a president. You hear me use the word all the while. Set case president. Maturely, I discussed it with my attorney, Roy Taylor, and I was assured that I had a case. My inquiry to Amnesty International and the Jamaica Council for Human Rights reinforced my finding. Furthermore, the death sentence as applied in my case was also indirect controversial to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You hear how much things are going in Fedi favor? Cartel, what is going in your favor? I definitely had a case, but so had Glenn Pusey, White, Reed, and many more who had hung, notwithstanding the inconsistency and downright frame up inherent and obvious in their cases. It was one thing to have a case, but another thing to be heard and promote redress. The free flow of letters is crucial to the intelligent and calculated struggle for life on the road. I must cast some light here on the general situation concerning the business of the letter and the row. The regulation governing communication by letter and the row is a nefarious bureaucratic fraud beginning with the letterhead. They issue one per week letterhead the size of a foolscap page only one side can be written on. The other side is a list of regulation that apply to such communication. The first class provide the attorney for the goon to arbitrarily manipulate the privilege of writing. This clause made it plain that permission to write and receive letter was given to prisoner for the purpose of enabling them to keep up a connection with their respectable friends. It was the goon, of course, who decide which of your friends was respectable. Using this clause, they block all letters that were not intended for a person, attorney, or parent. If while writing a letter to my mother, I should note that life is tough in the prison, they would not send it off. Instead, I would be strongly reprimanded for sending out discrediting words about the prison. The only way you could be assured that a letter went off was to write a prayer on the letterhead. Imagine a sadist, a pervert, a freak like the funk deciding which of my friend was respectable enough to get word from me. On one occasion, I wrote a letter to my girl. I began by saying, "My darling," I end with, "Love you always." It was strictly a business letter. I delivered for posting in the morning, and that was that. Before lunch, the goon in charge of letter came busting down the passage asking for me. On reaching my cell, he disregarded the name tag on the door where my name was written and asked if I was Maria Hector. Yes, I am. Now look here, man. Is what kind of love letter this you're writing? What that? This letter? He shouted, holding up the letter delivered that morning. I do not understand what you're talking about. What kind of love letter you're talking about? So who? To who? The mention of love letter had caught the ears of the other prisoners near, and everybody want to know what was happening. Is not your name Maria Hector? Is not your handwriting this? Yes, but don't but nothing. A fuck. All I am telling you now is that do not bother send me no more love letter up there. Cause them not going. Now look here, sir. I give up a letter this morning written to my girl, and I do not put anything in there that can be called a love letter. So I want to know what you're talking about. Cause I see, sir, it's just some monkey business you are come with now to fight I and sabotage I mail. Since you say it's a love letter and you're threatening I to stop I mail, explain to I what done wrong so I can avoid in the future. Look for yourself. He passed the letter through the bars. The opening, "My darling," and the closing, "Love you always," were circled in red. So what is the problem? I asked, returning the letter slowly and deliberately. While looking me in the eyes, he tore the letter. Remember when I say, do not bother write any more darling business. And no love you because send it up there cause government to have no money to post any love letter. If any old criminal, just remember that the goon was serious. Twice after that, I repeat the sentiment to my girl, and both occasions the letterhead came back torn right down the middle, plus a new letterhead. Another class that made the letterhead unattractive to us was the lie print as Rule 9. This class states that when visits are due to prisoners, notification will send to the friend whom they desire to visit them. This rule print on every letterhead used by every prisoner who decide to write through the prison. Yet never in the history of our penal system has one such official notification been sent to any friend of any prisoners. There is absolutely no record of ever one being sent or received. I imagine then this hypocritical situation where a new entry on the road rush off a letter to his parents asking them to visit him immediately. His parents receive his letter and are confused. How can they visit him when the notification for the visit has not reached them as yet? So the sucker will sit in his cell wondering what is taking them so long before coming, while his parents anxiously watch the mail for the never coming notification. This item of deceit is not there by accident. Connection between prisoners and outside are abused every day. Consequent to this lie clause, add this to the fact that any Tom, Dick, or Harry wearing a uniform could read your incoming and outgoing mail and the limited space it allows. No accompanying sheet could be attached, and the letterhead was downright unattractive. Since the free flow of letter is so crucial to the struggle, the situation involved an alternative via the grapevine. Badass run the grapevine. Many warders robbed the prisoners' supply in broad daylight without twinge of fear or consequence. They leave work laden with huge bag and pass the strain in their shoulder joint. These bags contain everything from toilet paper to nail and include meat, tin milk, polish, flour, toothpaste, toilet article, soap, spices, all stolen from the prison store or kitchen by first fingered prisoners and sold to them. Every goon who steals prison supply traffic contraband. This include stamp and stationery, outgoing letters. Here was the alternative to the office and the letterhead. With the help of some brothers in the yard, Hugo, Frederick, St. Brown, and Orlando Wang. Yes, fire! You hear me? I already told you to ask Orlando Wang, who is Oku Okorando. Here, Freddy tell you there, but telling you say, I, Okra, and Freddy was all downstairs at Central. And and we are all upstanding soldier. I told you, go and ask Fire Okoranda who I am. I soon had a link going. It was through this link that I was able to seriously work on my case. And no word of gratitude cannot fully express my appreciation to these strugglers and others who for security reason must remain nameless. Told you about that. Nobody no know my name. The first sector of the society I sought to have concern with my predicament was the church. Father Harry, a priest who frequented the row, said the matter would be best done through the president of the Jamaica Council of Churches, who was the Reverend Richmond Nelson. So I wrote to the good Reverend outlining my case, my constitutional right, and the rape by the sentence of death as imposed on me. Father Harry passed the letter to Reverend Nelson, and the Reverend was prompt in his reply. While the Reverend was sympathetic towards my predicament, the church could not interfere with the course of the law. This same institution that played so great a role in the introduction and maintenance of slavery in the region, the same church that had walked hand in hand with Babylon from the day of the colonial church union till now, the same church that stuck away poor people money in every ghetto across the land could not now interfere with the law. There is the business of the spirit, so they claim. Next, I direct my inquiry to the head of government, the Prime Minister. Like the church, the Prime Minister had many sympathetic words, but in the end, he too was unable to interfere with the process of law. So that was it. I find a case, but neither the head of the church, who preach every Sunday about love and justice, or the Prime Minister, who had said so much in the election campaign 1972 about human rights and justice, was prepared to give any real help in getting my share of justice. It did not matter that I had the authority of the Constitution behind me. They could not help. Who or what the hell then was the law if it could not be brought to bear on a case that was conspicuously in breach of the Constitution, so that I, a citizen of the land, may have justice through redress? What meaning then was the Constitution, and of what significance was the L? What it was it but a bit of paper that could never be caught by the poor for action on their behalf? So what then? Where does the poor man turn to when his cup is full? When the onus of oppression grip his soul, and the ugliness of death stand by? When the church can only respond to injustice with traditional hypocrisy, and the state awareness of the rape of our constitutional right limit to a few lines of sympathetic words, where and now that I could not enlist the concern of church and state sufficient to introduce on behalf of human rights and justice, what was my position? It mean I could go and punish my case or devote my time to escaping. It would be one or the other. For now, I was no longer even seriously considering the possibility of death and the gallows. That point was no longer a straw grips in the midst of rolling wave. It was now my rock where survival was very possible. On the occasion of Roy's next visit, we had a long discussion on the whole thing. We always enjoy rapping. He was behind me all the way as long as what I did was legal. Somewhere along the line, we had established the unspoken agreement that I did ask him to do nothing that was out of the rules. Over the years, I learned a lot from this frank and philosophical man. The strange thing was that he never once asked me if I was guilty or about fees. It was his advice that was most important to me. After I had poured out the situation to him, he was then a member of the Jamaica Council for Human Rights and was doing a lot of work for me on this angle. We decided that I should continue writing and that I should not restrict my effort only to local concern. From then on, I earnestly intensified my effort into a writing campaign. First, I decided to take my case to the United Nations. If I could not get justice at home, even with the weight of the Constitution behind me, I was out to get a positive response from the United Nations. I was going to keep on writing them letter till I got a reply. For good measure, I present the case formally to Amnesty International, to the National Alliance Against Racism, Repression in the United States, and to Sister Angela Davis. Locally, I wrote to the Jamaica Youth Council, from which some character informed me that they could not do anything to help any youth in prison, let alone a youth on death row. They sent my letter to the Jamaica Council for Human Rights. This council was by then aware of my case, but they, like all the other left and right progressive organizations, would not just got to bat for the poor without interest factor. A couple of days after the United Nations Commission on Human Rights wrote to me asking for additional information with an indication that they were going to take up the case. With haste, I forwarded the required information. Amnesty International replied and they petitioned the Governor General on my behalf and issue a press release here in Jamaica on the matter. Charlie Mitchell of the National Alliance Against Racism and Repression offered limited but effective assistance. At a news conference in England, Angela Davis raised the matter of my case and gave a solidarity. At least I was getting some attention. Yeah, Angela Davis. Now you see the connection between the black liberation struggle in America and the black liberation struggle in Jamaica. Now you see why Badass went to America and joined the black liberation struggle. Because the connection was made while I was in New Cell Black for Boys. Because Freddy had made connection with Stokey Carmichael, Jonathan Jackson, George Jackson, and Angela Davis. At some point in the chronicle, I will tell you about the freedom of Angela Davis when my brethren John hijack a plane at John F. K. Airport and demand that they release Angela Davis to him. Stay tuned for that piece. I like to talk our history, you know, because our history, nobody not talk about them history again, you know. Everybody a talk now like them no like black American, and them no like this, and them no like that, and them like everybody else except themselves. Only limited appeal could be made on behalf of my case by any external organization, and they could move only to the grounds of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was not an international law as such, which specified punishment for diversion, but more a moral pledge of conscience. It was the national conscience that I sought to provoke with the reality of my case and its inherent injustice. This thing was that tough. I intensified my effort. I just could not find where our national conscience was. Like a fool, I failed to accept that ours was a nation void of social conscience. Still, I was not about to give up. Yes, like I said, the thing get deep. The thing get deep. Survival will go next, you know.